that may interrupt that rhythm is Hadith Uthman ibn Affan. Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, when would he stand on the top of a grave, he would cry so much so that his beard would become so wet that actually the tears would still drop from his beard. So they asked him, we talked to you about Jannah and Hell, you don't react in this manner. Then Uthman said, what? I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying that the first station of the hereafter is the grave, and if it is bad, then everything what? You're familiar with this hadith? That comes after it is what? Is bad. So most probably the people who would not be cleared off in this dunya, they will have to go through the three phases. And Allah knows best. This is how the scholars reconciled those narrations. Yani the work of Ibn Taymiyyah himself, actually he initiated that. That most probably if you get punished in the grave, that means it's going to go on until you cleared from hell afterwards. طيب, of course there is rahmatullah, there is the mercy of Allah after that. So we said the three that comes is the punishment in the dunya, the punishment in the grave, or on the day of judgment, including what? Hellfire. Of course the 10th, which can take care of business, that Allah would give you what? Rahmah. We ask Allah, Ya Rabbi, that would be sufficient for you. And we know that, subhanallah, that certain people done great, crazy things. And like, for example, the man who, before his death, he called upon his children and he said to them, what kind of a father was I to you? They said, you're a good father. He said, okay, I want a favor from you. In another wording, by the way, he threatened them that he's not going to give them the inheritance unless you promise to do this for me. When I die, burn my body, then crash my bones, smash my bones, then wait for a windy day and cast half of my ashes in the sea and half in the land. Why? Subhanallah, he assumed that if this happens, Allah will be, subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be unable to bring him back. So, in essence, he is denying what? Resurrection. What qadr? What this has to do with qadr? He is denying resurrection. That he's going to be raised up again. It's not feasible because of that. What happened to the people who get eaten by fish? Isn't that they throw that motion at you? What happened to the people who like get blown in the air or burned? You understand the analogy here? But you see, you're really trying to give Allah's actions a human context. But we don't look at Allah's actions in a human context. No. But this hadith actually refutes those people completely. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the earth, addi ma indak. Commanded the sea, addi ma indak. So here is the man standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's back. By the way, you want to know that this man, you want to feel this man really, and this hadith in al-Bukhari wa Muslim. But in the wording of Imam al-Nasa'i, you know what this man used to do for a living? Anyone knows? What? He used to steal the shrouds. He would go and follow the janazah, not to get the reward, and he would wait, sit behind until everybody is gone. Then he would dig the grave again and steal the shroud and sell it. I mean, you know, this is a crazy sin. I mean, he's stealing from the dead. Imagine. And especially now, if you have those dead people who put this precious, You know, some people when they go change their knee, they end up getting what, golden knee and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, you really, you know, tempting the what do you call those? Robbers of grave robbers? I mean, huh? Grave robbers, yeah. He's a grave robber. So he really felt guilty about it. I mean, he felt guilty. I mean, that's the only way, I guess, according to him, he could provide for his family. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called upon him, and he said to him, ما دفعك ما حملك على ذلك. Why did you do that? Why did you ask your kids to burn you, smash you, and do this? قال مخافتك يا رب. I was afraid of you, يا رب. So Allah will say, take him to Jannah. SubhanAllah. ما هو listen with Allah. ما هو we're saying about sins, istighfar, grave. If you get وذاك يا إخوة always have good hopes. يعني one day the Prophet ﷺ narrated this hadith that one day Allah laughed. You know, laughed from laughing, you know. Do we believe Allah laughs, right? But do we know how? Should we try to figure it out? Leave it alone. Believe it. مررها. يقول لك مررها. Let it pass. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal يقول لك when you come across these attributes, especially the attributes of the action. There are attributes of the essence, like العلم, الحكمة, but there are attributes of the action that certain things when Allah wills, He does them. مررها. Let it what? Let it pass. For the Bedouin was standing out there and he asked the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Allah laughs. He said, yeah. He said, man, we have a lot of hope here. I won't give up on a laughing God. Actually, it's give him what? Hope that Allah, you know, Allah laughs. And we know all these hadith about hope. Like this man, subhanAllah, he shows up. They are looking at his book of deeds. He didn't do one single good deed. ما عمل خيرا قط. No even single good deed. So Allah is asking him, what's wrong with you? Where is? So he said, Ya Rab, there is one deed I used to do. I used to lend people money, but goodly loan now, not what? Not that usury loan. And when it's time to collect the debt, if any of them are unable to pay, I would what? Forgive him. Allah will say to him, I am more entitled to do this than you. Take him to Jannah. So there are things that, although these are the, but you see, you can't, and here is the difference between the people of the proper aqidah and the people with corrupt aqidah. You can't rely on these ahadith which gives hope of Allah's mercy, Allah's forgiveness, abandoning the law. Because that opens the door for what? Irja. You guys know what irja is? Oh, Allah Ghafur Rahim. Allah is going to forgive. Yeah, Allah could forgive. But how do you know? How do you know? You see, the moral campus would become what? Compromised. But if we go by the book, then everybody has to keep what? His line, his... I'm getting tired. I mean, my time is up. I mean, I know I started like a half hour late. Who's coming next? He's not around? Okay, طيب. I can go for another 20 minutes. I mean, I have some oil here. So let me go back to my, so I mean, how did we get into this subject to begin with? The 10, Say? Yeah. On Monday, did you sign up for the class? On Monday, inshallah, there is a whole lecture about the intercession. If you want to jump into it, just go to the last part of the book. If you want to read it tonight. The 6 types of intercession the Prophet would make, and the condition of accepted intercession, and what makes an intercession invalid. All details with evidence. But we go back to the subject now. So the burial is here. I forgot to mention, ya ikhwa, that before the testing in the grave, there will be the hugging of your mother. Your mother will give you a big hug. Who's your mother? Earth. Is the squeezing of the grave. Everybody will go through it, by the way. The Prophet ﷺ, in 2 occasions, he mentioned that if anyone can be spared from ضمة القبر, the squeezing of the grave, would have been Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, a companion by the name of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. What is special about Sa'd ibn Mu'adh? Huh? Anyone knows? The throne of Allah shook because of his death. اهتز لموته عرش الرحمن. What else? 70,000 angels attended his janazah. Despite all of this, subhanallah, he was squeezed. لقد ضم ضمة. But subhanallah, with the believer, your mother will give you a hug and release you. But with the others, will actually squeeze you, and that squeezing will continue on until the ribs are displaced. Also, one more thing is ظُلْمَةُ الْقَبْرِ. The grave will be dark. There will be no light there. Where do we get that from? The famous hadith في صحيح البخاري. The woman who used to clean the masjid, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asleep when she died, and the companions did not wake him up to attend her janazah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he woke up, he asked where she is. They said she died, Ya Rasulullah. So he went and he prayed janazah on her, on the grave. And that is permissible, ya ikhwa, as long as you face the qibla, not face the grave. And we're talking about salatul janazah. There is no ruku' or sujood, right? Right? The 4 takbirat, right? Because it's haram to pray in the cemetery, the regular salah. Then the Prophet ﷺ commented by saying, Inna salati alayha tuniru qabraha. My salah illuminates her grave. Finally, and I mentioned this في خطبة الجمعة yesterday, that after the individual passes the test and the divine announcement is made of the approval, and consequently the grave would become a garden or a meadow from Jannah. Subhanallah, ikhwa, the human is a social species. He will feel alone still. He will be actually sitting in the grave by himself. Imagine living in a mansion, nice garden, Jannah, but no one is around you. Would that be fun? No. So a very good looking person would appear to him, and he will actually give him the glad tidings. You were good, you did great. So the deceased would ask him, who are you? I don't know you. He will say to him, أَنَا عَمَلُكَ الصَّالِحِ, I am your righteous deed. So subhanAllah, the good deeds will be transformed into a human form. And if you really want to understand this in a beautiful context, read the Hadith. 3 things follow us to the grave. Name them: your family, your wealth, and your hasanat. Or sayyat, your good deeds, or your bad deeds. Your deeds. 2 of them return. Who returns? And they deal with one another. So the family come back to distribute your inheritance. مات خلاص. يلا نقسم. And subhanAllah, very interesting that even if you earn money from haram, this money becomes halal to them. Like someone who, for example, earned money from usury. Can his inheritors use that? Yeah, it's halal for them. By inheriting it, it's halal. So he gets punished for it, and they enjoy it. Why would you do that? Huh? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, you know, one of the offspring of Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was dying, he left little coins for his kids. Look at your cousins, they are leaving so much money for their children, and you're leaving that little bit for them. He said, listen, if they are not righteous, I'm not going to help them with my money. And if they are righteous, Allah will take care of them. Allahu waliyus salihin. Imagine, ikhwa, having that mindset. Allah gives you a break. I'll never forget this. The first job I got in my life was in a hotel. Did I tell you that story before? No. I did, okay. No, okay. Karim, just hear it from them. So, an announcement will be made, and this person will appear, I'm your good deeds. Here is the beautiful thing, ikhwa, that the person will say to him, Wallahi, by Allah, ما علمتك إلا سريعا في طاعة الله بطيئا في معصية الله. By Allah, I only knew you quick when it comes to the obedience of Allah. When it comes to doing something good, you were quick. You didn't say, let me think about it, let me consider, join the class, I'll think about it. No, quick, I'll join the class. Slow when it comes to the disobedience of Allah. Look at the other guy, the wicked, or we ask Allah to protect us from this, Ya Rabbi. A very bad looking person would appear to him. Scary. Man, you messed up big time. Imagine you're alone here and some guy shows up just out of nowhere, just to rebuke you for how you behaved in this world. And he will, the deceased will say, what's wrong with you, man? I don't like you. Who are you? I'm your filthy deeds. I'm your wicked deeds. أنا عملك السيء. I'm your adultery. I'm your getting high. I'm all that stuff. By Allah, I only knew you quick when it comes to disobeying Allah. But when it comes to obeying Allah, slow. Let's enjoy it together, buddy. So he doesn't say that, but that's scary. That person, subhanAllah, will get punished in the grave. We have different ahadith regarding the punishment in the grave. And I think I will let brother, what's his name, the brother from Canada, the Wasim, yeah. I think his lecture is on that, the punishment of the grave. But let me share with you in maybe in 5 minutes some of the sins which may incur severe punishment in the grave, And they were all mentioned in a famous hadith في صحيح البخاري, كتاب الرؤى, كتاب الرؤيا, the book of dreams, hadith ثمرة ibn Jundub. Samar ibn Jundub narrates that a lot of times, especially في صلاة الفجر, after the Prophet ﷺ would make taslim, he would look at us and he will ask, who saw a dream last night? And actually, if some of his companions would, he would ask them to narrate the dream. Of course, they know that they have to tie that thing, huh? They know that. Remember, so that there is no making up dreams here. It's serious business, man. One day, nobody answered. He said, I saw a dream last night. Two individuals took me on a journey. I'm trying to remember the hadith, but I think I quoted it. And the sins that come out of it. I think the first scene was what? Anybody knows that hadith? عهدي بالحديث طويل. I haven't been a while since I narrated this hadith. Some guy that the angels would smash his head and his head would roll away and would roll back. By the time it comes back, it's restored again, smash. You know who's this? The person who sleeps intentionally and doesn't perform the obligatory salah. Fard salah, obligatory. Fajr? لا. Hadith says it's salatul maktub. Can you look at Samar ibn Jundub, Hadith Samar ibn Jundub? Can you read the hadith, please? Page 122. Now, I want someone to read the hadith, the entire hadith, because again, I broke it down. I tried to. But I think it's Salatul Maktuba. I know this for a fact. A mandatory salah, not just Fajr. But again, ya ikhwa, we're talking about someone who intentionally. Because sometimes we may pass out. Right? Yeah, but which one? Fajr? It doesn't say Fajr, does it? Mandatory salah, right? Yeah, I mean, no, I want you to read the words of the Prophet. What does the hadith say? Salatul Maktuba. I'm certain it's Salatul Maktuba, not just Fajr. طيب. The other one, ya ikhwa, subhanallah, an angel would bring a hook and he would tear that side to his ear completely. Then he will go to the other side to tear it. By the time he's here, this side restored. Who is this? The one who lies, utters a lie, and his lie is all over the world. It's doable now, right? With what? You just have to go and post something on Facebook. Wallah subhanAllah, imagine somebody, would read this hadith, for example, 1,000 years ago. The hadith says, يَكْذِبُ الْكَذِبَ فَتَبْلُغُ الْآفَاقِ. That's how the Prophet worded it exactly. He will lie a lie and it will what? Reach what? Afaq. Every place on earth. Imagine reading that hadith. How in the world would you utter a lie 1,000 years ago? Right? But now it's doable or not? Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. Trying to remember who's the third. Who's the third? Oh, the oven. That's tough. Yeah. People are inside an oven naked, and when the flame is up, then the water would boil, and then they would be crying inside the water. the water was about to, you know how the water gets on the edge of, so the fire goes down, so they come down, up, down, up. Who are those يا أخي يا جبريل؟ هؤلاء الزنا والزواني من أمتك. Those are the adulterers and the adulteresses from the ummah. That's their punishment. You want to hear more? Some guy who swims in a sea of blood, and every time he want to come back, there is an angel standing by the shore, would throw a rock in his mouth. The impact of that rock would take him back to the sea, and then he tries to come back again, another rock. Who's this? The one who used to devour usury. The one who used to take usury. Like he sucked the blood of people in this world, he will swim in that sea of blood. Didn't he suck your blood in this world? Vampire, your money. I think there is a couple of more. Yeah, the one who sees, the Prophet saw, but this is not in al-Bukhari, so this is outside of al-Bukhari. Someone having a very nice roasted meat in front of him, and very dead, stinky meat in front of him. Both are in front of him. He would leave that nice, roasted, beautiful, tasty meat, and he will eat the other meat. This is the one who leaves the haram and goes to the halal. I'm sorry, the other way around. Leaves the haram, leaves the halal, and goes to the haram. Like you would have a wife, you can fulfill your desire there, but you go and commit adultery. I think there was a scene of scissors and lips. Those are the backbiters, the people who backbite. I think there was a scene also of Hajj. Again, ya ikhwan, all these ahadith about the arrogance, what is their punishment? The people who walk boastfully, like who? Qarun, earth swallowed him. For the punishment in the grave is established. Of course, I wrote this in my book, in the book that you have, that this place is called Barzakh, where the term Barzakh was used in the Quran beside the context of death. Anyone knows? Yes? So, what chapter? Ar-Rahman. Pay attention here. In Surah Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the two seas, who are the two seas? The sweet and what? When they come together, they don't merge, but they do what? They form what? Barzakh. So this barrier, which is Barzakh, has the attributes of the salt and the attributes of the fresh water, correct? Right? Both. Likewise, the grave is a Barzakh. Why it's a Barzakh? Because it has an attribute of this world, an attribute of what? Of the hereafter. Yeah, it's a grave, it's a hole that we dug, filled with sand. That's this world side. But there are things that happen inside it that belongs to what? The world of the unseen that you do not see. And we have evidence, a lot of evidence regarding the punishment in the grave. I did my 20 minutes, I did my time to be released. All right? I'm good? Continue. I think they need to take a break too. So I think, inshallah, even if Sheikh Uthman doesn't, inshallah, I think we covered that. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Sheikh Uthman not. طيب, inshallah. Good. So they will take a break, inshallah. Sounds good? I enjoyed teaching you guys. Assalamu alaikum. See you tonight, inshallah. All right? Keep up, seek knowledge, guys. Wallahi, this knowledge is Jannah. Wallahi, Jannah. If you want a piece of Jannah, this is, sitting like this in the house of Allah and learning, about this stuff. It gives you a relief. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والحمد لله رب العالمين بارك الله فيك